Kiran is asking for a very short introduction to the Sankhya philosophy. The Sankhya philosophy is a very practical, and Sriyamda says is very similar to the scientific view of things. Okay, so like the science, very similar view from the material point of view. But it's not only a philosophy, but it's also a yogic practice, how to do that. So we'll touch on the philosophic aspects first, and then very briefly on the yogic aspect. So Sankhya, the name is coming from Sankhya, number. Okay. So what it does first is, it says that there are 24 maximum principles, 24 basic principles of the existence. Okay. So there is Purusha, Prakriti, and then it divides all the different senses and all that. So it goes into 24 basic principles. So one is Purusha and Prakriti, it begins with. Okay. There is no higher element than Purusha and Prakriti in Sankhya. Okay. There is no supreme. It's a dualistic philosophy. Dualistic. There is Purusha and there is Prakriti. There is consciousness and there is the physical world. Okay. There is spirit and matter. But spirit is limited to the impersonal aspect of the divine. There is no personal aspect of the divine as in the Gita and also in the Advaita and Sriyamda philosophy. The third level is not there. Okay. Now, the next thing is, what are these 24 principles? First is the it divides into Purusha and Prakriti. Then the 5 basic elements. That's why it resembles the science: ether, air, fire, water, earth. Okay. Then these are the 5 principles by which the physical existence is created. Then next is what these elements correspond to. It corresponds to the ether corresponds to hearing because it is sound. Okay, so sound, and then next is air, which is touch. Okay, contact. Then the next is fire, which corresponds to sight. Our eyes, we can see fire. Then we come to water, which is the next. Water is the taste. And then finally we have the earth principle, which corresponds to the taste is water is taste. Okay. And the earth is smell. These are the 5 elements. So already we have 10 elements, including the 12. Okay. Then there is the sound that the senses that correspond to them. Okay, the senses, the eye, the ear, the nose, and the tongue, and the touch, the skin. So that's another 5 more. Okay. Then you come down to the other side, the practical subjective and objective. The objective side, you have the your body, mind, and life, and all the 5 senses which are there. That is, we have already discussed. Then you come to the senses. The sense. The senses are efferent and inferent. Okay. Karmendriya and Jnanendriya. So Jnanendriya are the eyes that we have discussed just now. And then the Karmendriyas are your physical organs which allow the action between you and the physical world. Okay. The Jnanendriyas are your senses: eyes, ears, nose, throat, and touch. Say skin. And on the other side, you have your hands and your legs and your the 2 organs at the lower end of the body. These are allowing you to interact with the world. The senses are allowing you to interact with yourself. Okay, sorry. The senses are taking in data from the physical world and giving you knowledge, and you are interacting with the physical world through your karmendriyas: hands, legs, the 2 organs at the lower end of the body, and your speech. You can hurt somebody, and you can also give pleasant experiences to somebody outside in the universe. So these are the 24 principles. Okay. Then there is a buddhi, ahankara, and chitta. So all these make 24 principles. Very, very scientific and very, very limited. Very limited. Sridhar agrees that Sankhya is valid at the lower end of the scale of existence. So, Purusha and Prakriti. The next thing that Sankhya is very famous for is the concept of Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is your consciousness and Prakriti is the Shakti. So, Prakriti corresponds to the physical world where movement and constant instability is there. There's constant movement. But Purusha is where there is constant non-movement, immutability. And mutability is there in the Prakriti. Okay. So these are then there are the three gunas or modes of nature as Ravna calls them. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas we have discussed many times. So Sattva is the principle of light, harmony, understanding, okay, the consciousness. This is Sattva. Rajas is the principle of action, okay, the action, power, movement, which allows you to act, energy. Then you have the Tamas. Tamas is the principle of obscurity, darkness, non-understanding, and also about stability. No change, okay, stability. And that also has got its own function. We have discussed that many times, that if there is no stability in the physical world, practical life will become impossible. Okay? So there has to be a stability. But note interestingly that on the one hand we are saying that the physical world is movement, and on the other hand we are saying there is stability in the movement. So this stability is relative. Okay? It is, some things are very they are stable only for a day. Okay. Look at the lightning, for instance. It's only stable for a few seconds. Okay. Then look at a butterfly. It's stable only for 1 week. Okay. Then there are other creatures also which are like that. Cats and dogs are stable only for 20 years. Okay. So just 1 second. So this stability is relative. The movement is eternal and a permanent principle of the physical world. Movement. And man is living for 100 years or sometimes even more. A tree can remain stable for 400 years. The Himalayas may be for 10,000 years or even more. Okay. So this is, even the sun can be there for 1,000,000 years. So stability is there in the physical world, and yet there is also movement. Movement is the eternal thing. Stability is relative. Okay. So this is the tamas. The principle of tamas is necessary. This is the Sankhya philosophy. It is very famous for the concept of Purusha and Prakriti. Just 1 minute. Purusha and Prakriti and the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the modes of nature. Siddhanta accepts this fully. He accepts it fully as valid at the lower end of the scale of existence. But it's not true at the higher level, because Purusha and Prakriti can become one, okay? And all these modes of nature also can turn into their divine equivalents, okay? So mind, for instance, can become knowledge. The vital can become absolute power with stability. Then the tamas can become peace. So this is Sridhar's interpretation. So Sankhya is not valid at the higher level. Okay. So it is valid, very valid at the lower level. Okay. So that's your Sankhya. Then so Shilpa, you are asking a question?
No, Rangada.
Okay, okay. Because your emblem got the blue border, so I thought you wanted to say something. Okay. So this is the Sankhya philosophy. Very okay.
Rangada,
Yeah.
in Sankhya philosophy, we have multiple Purusha and single Prakriti, na?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Multiple Purushas and single Prakriti. Whereas in the Advaita philosophy, it's the opposite. Because they look at it in a different way. Okay, in the Advaita, all the Purushas which are there, your soul, my soul, there it is true that they are all separate. After all, if your soul is there and my soul is there, they are different. If you attain liberation, I am not attaining liberation. So it is valid at the lower level. But Advaita looks at it in a different way. Vedanta, it says that okay, they look different, but they are essentially the same. There is only one Purusha who takes different forms. Like we come back to the idea of ice, water, and water vapor. Okay, the forms are different, but essentially it's the same. Like 100 or 200 or 300 mangoes on a mango tree. They're all different, but essentially they are the same. They taste the same, and the essence of each is the same. So this is the the Vedanta, okay, Advaita. So what you're saying is absolutely true, that there is a difference. That's why Srivna doesn't, the Sankhya philosophy is valid at the lower level, but it ceases to be valid at the higher level. Okay, so that's the Sankhya philosophy. Now, what about the yogic part? The yogic part is, they say that Purusha is a real thing. Prakriti is only movement and something which is subject to time and space. It's not absolutely real. It may be real at the lower level, but it is not real at the ultimate level. So therefore, get away from Prakriti and go to Purusha, go to consciousness. So that's their yogic aspect. The yoga aspect of Sankhya says, don't do any work in the physical world. Okay? Because if you do physical work in the world, you will be attracted, and the attraction will give you attachment, and attachment will make you have desires. So this is so don't have desires and get yourself detached from the physical world, from your body, mind, life, and your ego and your attachments and your desires. Get rid of them. So go to the higher level of consciousness, experience it, and reject the lower. Don't do any action. So this we have seen in the Bhagavad Gita, on the Gita, that the Gita is saying, no, you can do consciousness, you can do work in the physical world, but without getting attached. And Ramakrishna is a very interesting image for that. Okay, he also agrees that you have to do work in the physical world. But how do you do physical world, physical action in the world and not get attached? So he has a very interesting image. He says, all of you know what is it? Jackfruit. A jackfruit is a huge fruit, and if you cut it open, many people like the jackfruit very much. Okay, I don't. I don't like it. But when you cut it, there's a sort of glue that is there, and that glue will stick to your fingers. So Ramakrishna's image is, eat the jackfruit by all means, but oil your hands so that the sticky part does not stick to you. It's a very interesting image, and this is what he says. So you can continue to work in the physical world, but detach yourself. Do it with samatha. Don't be attracted by these things. So there are so many different theories. Each one is valid in its own field. Okay? So, right? So that's the yogic part of the Sankhya. Sankhya has got two aspects, philosophical and yogic. Kiran, very brief.
Yes.
Okay?
Also, they have told the theory of evolution, no? Theory of evolution. Utkrantivad is also there, no? Theory of evolution.
Yes, I understand. I am not sure that there is this is something I can't guarantee, but I don't think there is an evolution. Because on the one hand, they are telling, get away from the physical world. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can the evolution come there? In fact, evolution is only in the Indian system, evolution is there as a concept, but it has not been examined very detailed manner. It's only Sri Aurobindo who actually practically applies it. The theory of evolution is there because we have the Dashavatar. No? So that if you see clearly, you will see that there is a gradation of consciousness rising from the lowest fish, then boar, then the boar, then the all the different one by one. The animal man, then the vital man, okay. Then you have the Rama, okay, is the mental man. Then you have Krishna, which is spiritual man. Finally, you have the Avatar, that is the Kalki, he is the supreme divine. And the Kalki is the 10th and the last. So there is an evolution, but it has not been examined in detail. It is detailed in, and not only is it examined in detail, but he is saying very clearly that the evolution is bound to proceed to the next level. And what is that next level also? He has given so detailed, and not only given intellectually, but he and Mother have actually practically brought down that next evolution step into the physical world. So this is the difference. So evolution, I don't think, is there in the Sankhya philosophy. If it were there, then why would they reject the physical world? That idea, even the... Yeah, tell me.
I just wanted to add to your point. In fact, in one of the Antratya, there is a somebody has questioned that evolution was known before Sri Aurobindo, and it has been. So Mother in a way completely disagrees and says, if before knowing Sri Aurobindo, if you would have told this, I would have hats off to you. But I don't think I will give you the reference. I'll have to see in one of the Antratya. In fact, Mother has categorically said that Sri Aurobindo first brought in the theory of evolution in yogic practice, like in the spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Just wanted to share when you said that. Yeah, Mother categorically said that. I just remembered when you were discussing. I don't remember which one exactly. I'll have to check.
Essentially, that's what I am also saying.
I'm adding to your point only. I'm just validating your point with Mother's words. Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
It is theoretically it was there, okay, that there is an evolution, but practically, Sri Aurobindo has done that, and that's a fantastic thing. Okay, so that's it. Quite right. The Sankhya philosophy is one. Then there is even the yogic processes are all different. No? Each one is doing, and each one is valid in its own field. Okay, you can certainly do Jnana Yoga and reject the physical world. You can certainly do Bhakti Yoga and have relation with the divine. You can certainly do Karma Yoga and put on the nature of the divine. All these things are possible. Sayujya Mukti, Samipya Mukti, Salokya Mukti, then Sadharmya Mukti and Sadrishya Mukti. All these different types of muktis are there. Sri Aurobindo wants all of them together. Integral. He says, to know the divine, you have to know him fully. I have found a fantastic definition of yoga today in Essays, Human and Divine. And I will send you the reference. It's absolutely fantastic, his definition. To know God fully, even at the lower level. That's it. Yeah. If you are interested, I can read it out just now to you, okay? Because I have the page mark, okay? What a definition. I'm absolutely stunned at his definition of yoga. Nobody else says that. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'll get the text and I'll read out to you. Yeah. This is absolutely fantastic definition of what yoga is according to him. Okay, nobody says this. Okay, so 1 second. Yeah, here it is. It's about 10 lines. Okay, so see how integral he is. Yoga is a contact of humanity in us with the deity in which it dwells. Okay, that means our humanity, the body, mind, life, is dwelling in the deity. The deity is God, okay, in which it dwells. So we are living in God, but we don't know him. Then it's a contact of the finite with the infinite, of the as yet accomplished, evolving and imperfect humanity with its yet unevolved attainable perfection. So whatever we have got has to go to the perfect, but it is not yet evolved. This is yoga. Okay? Of the outwardly active waking consciousness, which is controlled with the inwardly active controlling consciousness, okay, of man with God. This is yoga. Contact of man with God, contact of the outwardly active waking consciousness, which is the body, mind, life, which is controlled with the inwardly active consciousness. In other words, psychic. Your body, mind, life has to be psychicized. Of man with God, contact of man with God, of the changing outward apparent ego with the secret, real and immutable self. Our ego has to become the self. By that contact, the lower rises to the higher, the unevolved evolves, the unborn is created. Unborn is created, unborn is the yourself. But you create that even in the lower level. Okay? So humanity assumes some part of the Godhead, not all, some part of the Godhead. This is the Sadrisha Mukti. You become like the nature, you put on the nature of God. Man moves upward to God. This upward and self-expanding movement is the utility of yoga. So all these things, this is yoga. The other yoga, they're all insisting only on one part. But simply saying everything, including your body, mind, life, must become divine. So the next one also is absolutely divine. I tell you, the reference is page 333, 333. Okay, and it's the volume is the essay Human and Divine, and the volume is 12. Volume 12, page 333. You can read that. There are other sections also where it's explaining what to be one in with the divine, what it means. Everything, right from the lowest to the highest, has to be divinized. Nobody is even conceived of that. Okay. So, interesting discussion we had, but we have only now about 20 minutes to go, little less. So shall we read the life divine, the next one? Or if there are any questions or further on this issue, we can have a discussion. Okay.
So we have.
I think we can read. No? So this is the field of cognition, page 644. So, Archana, can you read? Okay. Anybody else has got the text? We can. Yasmin, you have the text?
I have.
Sorry, I don't have Life Divine.
Okay. Then Shilpa has the text we can read.
Yes.
This is the field of
Read.
cognition. Read.
This is in the field of cognition, but the same law applies to will and action. Out of ignorance, a wrong consciousness is created which gives a wrong dynamic reaction to the contract of persons, things, happenings. The surface consciousness develops the habit of ignoring, misunderstanding, or rejecting the suggestions to action or against action that come from the secret inmost consciousness, the psychic entity. It answers instead of to enlighten mental and vital suggestions or acts in accordance with the demands and impulsions of the vital ego. Here, the second of the primary conditions of the evolution, the law of the separate life being affirming itself in a world which is not self to it, comes into prominence and assumes an immense importance. It is here that the surface vital personality or life self asserts its dominance, and this dominance of the ignorant vital being is a principal active source of discord and harmony, a cause of inner and outer perturbation, per- perturbations of the life, many mainsprings of wrongdoing and evil. The natural vital element in us, in so far as it is unchecked or untrained or retains its primitive character, is not concerned with truth or right, consciousness or right action. It is concerned with self affirmation, with life growth, with possession, with satisfaction of impulse, with all satisfaction of desire. The main need and demand of the life self seems all important to it. It would readily carry it out without any regard to truth or right or good or any other consideration. But because mind is there and has these conceptions, because the soul is there and has these soul perceptions, it tries to dominate mind and get from it by dictation, a sanction, an order of execution for its own will of self affirmation, a verdict of truth and right and good for its own vital assertions, impulses, desires. It is concerned with self justification in order that it may have room for full affirmation. But if it can get the assent of mind, it is quite ready to ignore all these standards and set up only one standard, the satisfaction, growth, strength, greatness of the vital ego. The life individual needs place, expansion, possession of its world dominance, and control of things and beings. It needs life room, a space in the sun, self assertion, survival. It needs these things for itself and for those with whom it associates itself, for its own ego and for the collective ego. It needs them for its ideas, creeds, ideals, interest, imagination, for it has to assert these forms of oneness and mindness and impose them on the world around it. Or if it is so strong enough to do that, it has at least to defend and maintain them against others to the best of its power and contrivance. It may try to do it by the methods it thinks or chooses to think or respect as right. It may try to do it by the naked use of violence, ruse, falsehood, destructive aggression, crushing of other life formations. The principle is the same, whatever the means or the moral attitude. It is not only in the realm of interest, but in the realm of ideas and the realm of religion that the vital being of man has introduced the spirit and attitude of self affirmation and struggle, and the use of violence, oppression, and suppression, intolerance, aggression. It has imposed the principle of life egoism on the domain of intellectual truth and the domain of the spirit. Into its self affirmation, the self asserting life brings in hatred and dislike towards all that stands in the way of its expansion or hurts its ego. It develops as a means or a passion or a reaction of the life nature, cruelty, treachery, and all kinds of evil. Its satisfaction of desire and impulse takes no account of right and wrong, but only of the fulfillment of desire and impulse. For this satisfaction, it is ready to face the risk of destruction and actuality of suffering, for what it is pushed by nature to aim at is not self preservation alone, but life affirmation and life satisfaction, formulation of life force and life being.
Yeah, very big para, but it's very interesting what he's saying. Okay. So the chapter, if you remember, is the origin of falsehood and evil. So he first looked at it from the angle of cognition, from the mind. Okay, and he said that there are two sources of information and knowledge that you get. The first source is from the subliminal, the real knowledge, the knowledge of the Supreme is there already in you, but it is there in the subliminal being. Okay, deep inside you, it is there, and that is also trying to guide you all the time and sending its messages outwards into the body-mind life. But body-mind life is very dense, and it does not receive these very easily. The more you evolve, the density of the body-mind life reduces, and you are able to get the contact of the knowledge coming from within. This is one source. The other source is the physical world, which is science. Science is giving the knowledge of the physical world. So both these things are all the time happening. So that is the knowledge aspect of the mind. Now Sridhar is saying There is also the action part. This is the knowledge part. But what about the action part? Okay. So now he comes to the vital. So he is discussing the nature of the vital and how it acts and how it gets knowledge. Okay. So this is what he is saying. So I will do one thing. It's already 31. We have got only 9 minutes. We can't go detailed manner. So I'll read out the summary, okay, of what he's saying. And then if there are any questions, we'll deal with it. Okay, so Srimad is saying here, we have examined the process of evolution and its obstructions with regard to chit, that is knowledge, cognition. Okay, why it doesn't allow you to go up. Where the question again, keep always in mind the main question, where is the origin of evil and suffering and falsehood? That's what he is examining in great detail. His discussion is so detailed that we forget what he is actually trying to say. So you must keep that in mind all the time. The idea is, where is it starting? So he's examining one by one and see. So now he's going to examine the vital, the action. Okay, so what he's saying is like, we have examined, this is my summary, we have examined the process of evolution and its obstructions with regard to chit, which is knowledge, cognition. But the same obstructions and process apply to Shakti, action and will. Okay, Prakriti, it applies to Prakriti. Action and will are also hampered in the same way by the same two primary conditions of inconscience and egoism. In the case of action and will, now there intervenes the vital ego. This surface vital personality asserts itself, wants to dominate, dictate terms and conditions to all around. It thus becomes a source of discord and disharmony, physical and emotional perturbations, ending in wrongdoing and evil. This vital being is not interested in the truth and the right. It is not interested. Its only concern is its own importance, its self-assertion. It is interested in possession, possessing things, dominance, conquest, satisfaction. These are the nature of the vital. And in trying to attain to these, it tramples on all others, defies rules, even uses violence if need be. Okay? This is the nature of the vital. The only restraining action it faces is the mind, which tries to control the vital as best as it can. So it tries to get the mind to become an accomplice and to get its approval for all its actions. So there is a very interesting image for that. We'll discuss it next time, the image. Okay. First of all, there is a sanction, and then you get the approval for the execution. That's it. Vital is trying to get the sanction of the vital. The mind. Okay. It tries to get the mind to become an accomplice and to get its approval for all its actions. The vital wants only its place in the sun. It's a phrase saying that I want to fulfill myself. Okay. Its expansion, its possession, its dominance, its control. The vital ego works for itself. It may likewise work for its friends, companions, and mates. But it may even work for the collective ego. That's the nature of the vital. Okay? The community, the nation. But the I-ness and my-ness dominate, and it uses any and every method to achieve its ends. Violence, intolerance, oppression, suppression, aggression, and all these are legitimate tools in its pursuit of satisfaction. This is the nature of the vital. When it's convinced of something, even ideally, it will try to do that, but it can even go to violence. Okay? Insist on. That explains also how religions try to impose their own will on others. The crusades, okay? Then the jihad. All these are concepts where you are trying to insist that your method is the only truth, the ego. Okay, trying to impose it on others by force. Naturally, hatred, dislike, vehemence, cruelty, trickery are the results. It is willing to kill or even get killed for its satisfaction. This is the nature of the vital. No? So it can be, for instance, if you are fighting for the nation, okay, you are willing to even die for the nation. So that's the nature of the vital. It is a great source of evil and falsehood. So now finally we know where it is coming, the evil and falsehood. It is not coming in the involution. When the divine is descending to come into the physical world, there is a diminution of consciousness, diminution of power, diminution of ananda. But there is no distortion as such. See, these words are there, all these words are the left side ladder if you want. There is a right side ladder and left side ladder. The ladder of involution, there is no falsehood. These words are static words. Okay? Mind, life, body, supermind, higher mind, all these are static words. And they don't evolve. So when you come down on the right side ladder which is going up, the problem starts. Because you are starting from ignorance, you are starting from darkness. So naturally you will go wrong. And the one that goes maximum wrong is the vital. And even when mind comes in, mind is not strong enough to counter the vital. So the vital also influences the mind, and you fall a victim to the desires of the vital. So this is what he has been saying in this, in a very interesting way. So when you don't have knowledge and still you insist on your way of doing things, naturally it will lead to error, and error will lead to wrong action, and wrong action will end up in falsehood, and falsehood will give you suffering, and it will go even to evil because you are using violence. So this is the source of, now he has laid his hand fully on the source of evil, falsehood and suffering. It's a vital. It's full of energy, but it's being used in the wrong way, in the lower level. But if you can purify the vital, it becomes a tremendous friend. It becomes an ally in your yogic pursuit. That is the reason why Srivamsa does not cancel the vital. He doesn't want to get rid of the vital. He does not transform it. It can be a great help. Okay? So this is also the image in the Ramayana. Okay? In Ramayana, Rama is trying to get back Sita. And what is that? It's very relevant because now on 22nd January, the Rama temple will be inaugurated. So it's a very interesting thing. Okay. So Rama is trying to get back Sita. What does that mean? It means very clearly, Purusha is trying to control Prakriti. Okay. So according to Srivamsa, you have to transform your Prakriti. Okay. So this. And in that effort, the animal is of great help. Okay? That's why the monkey brigade, this is very symbolic, very, very clear symbol, very clear that the Rama has to use the vital. He has to use the vital for the fight against the Asura. Okay? And then it's very interesting. Finally when he does that, Sita has to now go through an Agni Pariksha. Okay? There's a lot of people who don't understand the symbolism, absolutely have no idea of what it's all about. But Sita has to go through an Agni Pariksha. What does that mean? Agni is the one that purifies. So your vital, your body, mind, life, the lower nature has to be purified. And the purification takes place by Agni. This Agni is the will that comes. It creates a heat in the body, in the mind. Concentration creates heat always. Okay? So this is it. And then it's very interesting, there are only 8:40. Somebody objected and said, but what is Ram doing? First of all, he's forcing his wife to go through fire. It's symbolic. Okay. Secondly, he banishes her to the forest at the end. This many people don't understand. Okay. But symbolically, it means that when you have reached the highest level of consciousness, your nature, as it was in the past, disappears. That is what it means. your nature as it was in the past disappears. The imperfect nature disappears. So naturally Sita is sent away to the forest. Disappear. Okay. That's a symbol. But remember one thing, Ramayana and Mahabharata both are definitely symbols. But they are not only symbols. You have to say that very clearly. They are also history. Okay. Both Ramayana and Mahabharata are itihasa. Itihasa. This is what happened. Okay. So it is history. And you can see that because Kurukshetra exists, Ayodhya exists today, the river Sarayu exists today. It's very interesting. It's a big mystery, but you can see now how Vyasa and Valmiki, at what level of consciousness they were. They were able to write this. Okay? It's fascinating. Okay, so we have gone 1 minute beyond our time. So we stop here today.
Jai Ho.